Thank you for joining me for today's information session about Retreat with Meg. Um, it's lovely to have you here, and if you have a question, please do pop it into the chat and I will get to it. There is time for questions at the end if there's anything that is not covered during the session. Just to respect everyone's time, I'm going to keep this as short as possible so that you can get back to your dinners and families and whatever it is that you're doing on a Monday night. So what I'm going to be covering today in this session is what Retreat with Meg is, who runs it, and how did I do that? Who it's for, where the venue is, when I hold them, how I structure them, what the inclusions are, and some testimonials. There'll be question time, as I said, and for those who are here live, I do have a bonus for you at the end. So what my mission is for Retreat with Meg is to help writers get their writing done while establishing writing friendships in a safe and nurtured space, both virtually and in person. At the moment, I am only running them in person, but I am looking at running some virtually for those who are unable to come to the in-person retreats. So what is Retreat with Meg? It's Retreat with Meg is nurtured time with small groups of writers, and they're fully catered writing retreats with loads of writing time. There's group and one-on-one coaching and writing workshops. There's an optional workshop that I run each day, and I'll go into that a little bit later. And we have communal time from pre-dinner until after dinner time. It's about creating a writing community, particularly for those people who are writing on their own, which is pretty normal, and it's a pretty isolating career to have, really, as a writer. So who runs it? It's me. I am a creativity coach, so I'm a trained mindset and life coach. I'm a writer, I'm an editor, and a nurturer. I'm a mother of 3 young men, and I have been running workshops for over 10 years and running retreats privately, and I've opened it up more publicly in the last couple of years. So who do I run these retreats for, or who are these appropriate for? This is a commonly asked question, is, who are these retreats for? What kind of writers are they? So Retreat with Meg is for early writers, so those who are just starting out, for established authors, for fiction writers, non-fiction writers, content writers, writing for therapy writers, flash fiction writers. Basically, if you're a writer, this is for you. It's all about the time and space for writing, and it is not biased in any way, one way or another. And it also allows for people at any stage of their writing to be able to come along and get the writing done. And due to the mix of the writers, this actually creates a really lovely environment, because writers often have the same things popping up, whether they are well published or they're just starting out on the journey. Things like imposter syndrome, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's really lovely for people to be around other writers and just see that all of this kind of stuff is quite normal. So where do I hold these retreats? They are held in Kinglake. So there's a retreat place called Karma Kinglake. And as you can see here in the pictures, there is some cottages and some communal spaces. So you'll see, if I kind of go around clockwise from the space, that's the mountain guest space. Then we've got one of the cottages. There's an outdoor space that has some nice lighting for nighttime. The little barn above there is the massage, the room that's used for massages, if you wanted to take that on. The next one is the communal space. We'll be using the upstairs communal space where there's a kitchen, a wood fire, couches, table, and then we've got the other cottages. So I'm about to run my first retreat at Karma, so I don't have the pictures of the rooms where you're sleeping, but you can see those on my website. I do have images of those rooms, but I thought I'd show you this from my last retreat that I ran at in Musk, which is just out of Dalesford. I always set the riders up so that you can be working in your own private space. You can be working in your pajamas. It doesn't matter. And it allows you to stay within your own headspace, so you can get out of bed early in the morning, make yourself a coffee. You don't have to interact with anyone, and then just get on with your writing. Alternatively, you might be someone who likes to write late into the night and you won't be disturbing anyone. So you'll have your own private writing space and have your own table. The bed linen is beautiful. I have checked it out at the Karma place when I went out to have a look, and you will always have private en suites. And so when do I run these retreats? So I usually run them 6 times a year. This year, there's only 5 at this stage. So this year there was one in February that was in Musk. Then I had another one in March in Musk. And hi, Catherine. Thanks for joining us. I'm just running through the presentation, and you're welcome to drop any questions you have into the chat. So just talking about when I run them. So there's one this week coming up, then one in October. That's a 4-night Monday to Friday. And then in November, Thursday to Sunday. I thought I'd run through the structure because people always want to know, like, what does the structure look like? Because some retreats are really highly structured and other ones are not. So this is the general structure for the retreats. And Catherine, also, if you, as I mentioned earlier to everyone, if you have any questions at the end, there's question time at the end, or you can just pop them into the chat and hopefully I should cover everything, but always happy to answer any questions. So in the mornings is your quiet writing time, your personal writing time. I run an optional workshop just before lunch that is a mixture of coaching and writing. So it's about kind of deepening your relationship with your writing, with your story, with your characters. I'm a trained mindset coach, and I'm also trained in writing workshops, and so I just do a blend of these depending, I usually tailor them to the people who are coming. In the afternoons, there's more writing time for you, and then I run the one-on-one coaching sessions in the afternoons, and everyone who comes receives a complimentary 1-hour one-on-one coaching if they want to take it up. Breakfast and lunch are self-serve, so that allows you to listen to the rhythm of your body and your mind, and to eat when you need and keep working when you need to. In the evenings, from 6 o'clock, we gather for communal time. So we gather over drinks and nibbles at 6 o'clock, and we discuss how the day's gone. People will talk about, any problems that they might have had during the day, and I facilitate that conversation. We have dinner at 7, and then we do some readings after dinner. So usually each evening there's, maybe 2 people do a reading. So what's included with the retreat is that you get your private accommodation with an ensuite and a private riding area, as well as a little kitchenette, a lounge area, and all of the cottages, apart from one, have a wood fire heater, which at the moment in Melbourne feels amazingly beautiful. You get 2 intention setting and writing clarity masterclasses. You have daily writing and coaching masterclass, which is optional. You get the facilitated writing conversations, an extensive writing and creativity resource library to use during your time there, a goodie bag. It's fully catered. You get a 1 hour coaching and or mentoring session with me, a pre and post retreat coaching consult, extensive use of the property and walks around the local bushland in Kinglake. And if you wanted to, you can also purchase 2 extra things. One is a massage, which is not by me, it's by a proper masseuse, which you organise through the owner of the venue. And you can also get some feedback on a piece of writing. So some testimonials. So Lena, who came to, I think it was the February retreat, she came, she said, I'm not really a writer. She turns out she is actually a writer. No surprises. Most people who come, there's always, at every retreat, there's always at least one person who says, I'm not really a writer, but they are. It was really lovely having Lena there. She talked about how my warmth and kindness helped to form a group culture really quickly. This is really important to me. I believe in creating safe, nurtured spaces for people. I like everyone to feel welcome, and I do a lot of work around that before the retreat and during the retreat. And I like to bring in a positive energy to help people be able to think, write, and create. Carolyn said that I was born to run retreats and coach creative people, and that was a really lovely thing to hear. She came to a retreat sometime last year, early last year, I think it was, and that was really nice to hear from her about that. And Susan Green, she's an award-winning author. I think she's now got 16 books out. Anyway, she had lost her joy in writing, and so she reached out to me and said maybe my retreats were what she needed. And it was so lovely having her come, and we had a coaching session on the first day, and she said, I just want to get that joy back. And by the end of it, she was just jumping with joy because she had fallen in love with her story again and her characters. And so that was really great to hear. So I will just pop it over to you. Catherine, do you have a question that you would like to ask, or anyone else? You can either pop it into the chat or take yourself off mute, whatever is easier. Some of the questions that have come up in other information sessions were about how to get there. And, Catherine, taking yourself off mute.
Oh, hi. Sorry, my camera doesn't appear to be wanting to work today.
That's all right.
Yeah, I suppose some of that, so it sounds wonderful that the October one interests me, that those times during the day.
Yeah.
Practicalities of like getting there and
Yeah.
location and I suppose costs and things like that. I mean, the whole thing sounds great.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so it is in Kinglake, and there is public transport there. So if you don't drive, there's always public transport. What I have found in the past is that there tends to be about, I'm going to say a person every single retreat who doesn't drive. and I create it's a private WhatsApp group for people to get to know each other before the retreat. And so I encourage people to reach out to that group to see if anyone can give them a lift. And it has always worked out. And there's something beautiful that also happens with that, is that then two people arrive having met each other already. So whether you're driving or not driving, it's still kind of, there's still ways to get there. And I have someone coming to each retreat. I usually have at least one person from interstate. So there's usually some of that kind of coordinating as well. And what was the other question around location? The logistics. So it starts at 10 a.m. on the first day because I want people to kind of make the most of that first day. I say 10 a.m. just to allow people to get there, and we do our first workshop at 11 o'clock, and that's an intention setting workshop just to settle everyone in, welcome everyone, and then you've got pretty much the rest of the day to get on with settling yourself into your writing and that. And on the Friday finishes up around lunchtime, but some people might want to just, I don't know, go and have some lunch at a local pub or something and then go home. And I'm just trying to remember what other things you had just asked me about. Sorry, Catherine. What was the other thing?
What are the dates for October?
Oh, sorry. It's the 20th to the 24th. So it's Monday to Friday.
October. Okay. Yep.
Yep. So I run a Thursday to Friday one and a Monday to Friday one. Thursday to Sunday and Monday to Friday. So the one I've got running this week is Thursday to Sunday, and the Monday to Friday just allows for people who, might have weekend responsibility that they can't really get out of and would like to take advantage of during the week. And the Thursday to Sunday has been quite a popular choice for a lot of people as well.
Yep, that sounds great.
Yeah. So what was it? I'm going to say some other questions that have come up. Oh, just about transport, location, sharing cottages. So there are 3 cottages that people can share with another writer. So they can either bring a friend and, it helps lower the cost a little bit, or they can choose to share with a stranger, like just another writer. And that depends on, like, if no one else wants to, then you've got the cottage on your own. And there's only 3 cottages that have 2 bedrooms. I'll get on to